The next question will start with Mr. Lawson. Storage of vehicles has been an issue over the past several years, where the rights of one property owner were apparently pitted against the rights of adjoining property owners. As zoning changes are made and planning issues are discussed, what's your philosophy on working with the citizens who bring forth challenges to change?
Thank you. As a matter of fact, ironically, I was talking to two different gentlemen that had to move their vehicles because of some current policies, and I asked them. I said, "Well, do you feel that there's a fair process and you're being heard?" And at least they felt that they weren't. So my philosophy, which you asked, is this is where we need to be more proactive in seeking out all the information, having meetings, having a community meeting with regard to what the problem is and how it could be resolved in a collaborative way. I believe what's happening now is that a good many citizens are not believing that they are being heard or they're having their input. Now, maybe that doesn't mean they're going to get their way, but they do want to be able to have their input to the process.
Thank you. Mr. Henry.
Thank you. I was chairman when this came up, and I set up a committee. There was 3 on the side of cleaning them up and 3 on the side of collecting the cars. And what the new regulations are is a combination of what came out of those meetings. Sure. Had several meetings with input from both sides. You know, they are private property. We have private property rights in this county. But at the same time, it'd be nice to kind of clean up a little bit. And there needs to be a happy medium in there. I'll tell you, at one of the meetings, there was a person that stood up and said, well, I want to keep whatever I want out here. That's why I bought in the county. And the question was asked, well, what does the city do? And he said, well, they won't let me keep them at all in the city. So we can keep some out there, but the license...
You're done.
Mr. Gilmore.
I'm kind of an old car guy. Anyone who knows me, I own cars, CARZ 1212 East First Street. And the people they're talking about have been customers of ours for years. And the most famous one I know, I had a conversation with him, and his thing was always valid. He was there first. So that's the kind of the crux of the whole problem. The guy who was there first, I mean, the people that complain about living next door to a refinery, but if the refinery was there for 75 years and they build a house across the street, that's an issue. I mean, we do need to have uniform development throughout the county. There shouldn't be any special law for one guy that doesn't affect another. And it was a really tough issue, and I know as an old car person myself, I don't have any old cars on my...
You're out of time.
I don't have any old cars, but I too, my dad owned a gas station for 45 years, and I've certainly been around old cars and newer cars. The gentleman we're all talking about or hinting around about, he did everything to begin with what we asked him to. We asked him to set his cars up 6 inches above the ground and line them up and cut the weeds. But you know, you have to have code inspection. I understand that. There's got to be a fine line, and it's communication. It's all about communication. I think most of the car buffs, car guys, if you just sit down with them and communicate with them, I think they'll just do everything in their power to help us out, you know, clean up a little bit. And I know cars are a great hobby, and if we crush them all, we won't have anything to look back at and say, remember those times when I snuck in the driving in that car in the trunk? No, that's supposed to be funny, no one's laughing, but anyway.
You're out of time.
I'm out of time, thank you.
Mr. Duvall.
Where we draw the line, if it's a property owner that wants property and old cars, or the collector that wants to keep them. Where do we draw the line on the personal property rights of the person owning those cars, and maybe feels like the hand of the government is coming down on him and wants his own individual rights and not the government telling him what to do? There has to be a fine medium, and I don't think you can do one solution fits all. You can pass ordinances if you want and try to do a one solution for all, but it's going to be a case-by-case basis, and you're going to have to talk to the person. You're going to have some rules to make everyone happy, and you're not going to make everyone happy trying to do all that. But we have to work on that and go to case-by-case basis. I know you guys had one guy that lost everything, but
You're out of time. Good job. This is an area that I think is near and dear to everybody that lives in Natrona County. It pits your personal rights against the rights of others. And yes, we do have to work well with others, but others need to work well with the existing people. They were there first, and they do have rights. Rather than trampling on those rights, I suggest that you work together to find a solution, but don't trample on the rights of those already there. Don't zone over their heads and act like they don't exist. They do, and they have rights. That's why we have a constitution to follow and laws in this state to follow. And it's up to the voters in the end, and I would have to go for what they would want. Ms. Anderson.
See if I can do this in a minute. The person that we were talking about is the reason why I'm running. I went out to his property 12, 13 years ago because I lived out in Vista West 4. It wasn't about junk cars. It was about personal property rights. This person spent $250,000 to prove that, and he did prove that. And the county has to eat that up, but that's exactly what's on the books. So, in essence, we better be listening to our constituents and be working together instead of voting for things and then backtracking and trying to fix the screw-ups that we did in the first place, which is what I see happening now. And so, you know, like I said, I'm for the people. I am not for I understand development, I understand growth, but at the same time, we better do it responsibly. We have a lot of empty buildings out at Vista West 4 because everybody thought it was going to be booming and staying, and there's still some empty buildings out there, and we were surrounded by it. So we just need to be careful about what we're wanting in terms of growth. Thank you.
Mr. Schlager.
I guess my philosophy on it is change is inevitable. It's going to happen. But with that change, I think there needs to be community involvement. And any changes that come about need to be fair. It doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to like it, or it may not be what you ideally wanted, but as long as it's arrived at fair and there is some kind of community involvement, I think that's absolutely imperative to include.
Thank you. Mr. Bad.
Well, this comes down to a couple of issues that are involved in this with the old automobile. Number one, there's a grandfathering issue there that's somebody's there, and before the zoning regulations change, they need to be allowed to use it. You know, get a non-conditional use permit for their property without having to pay for it, pay through the nose for it, do that. I've been a business owner. I've been in management for well over half my life, in one position or another, and quite frankly, I think that the way I would look at that is, you know, if we go out there, we should be able to negotiate something before this thing goes to court. I just think, you know, stop taking things so personal. Let's get to negotiating these things. And most of these people that have these cars that they rebuild, it makes no sense to go out and try to force them to have license on them because they have to insure it and play them and all that. That's not even a reasonable option. So I think basically, if you have somebody that's willing to go out there and negotiate with it, I think you can settle these issues without going to court. You should be able to.